Welcome to the Holy Hour, the All Cure podcast. I'm Gavin. Thank you so much for joining us for another action-packed episode, and boy, is it a good one. I am so happy to present this one to you good Cure fans out there. Previously on the Holy Hour, our fearless leader, Arusha Baker, director, producer of Push, a Cure fan documentary, had touched down in Europe to join the last leg of the 2016 tour. She had amazing time at the Bilbao, Spain show, and on deck was Barcelona. And tonight, my friends, we have Scoop on the Barcelona show. So Arusha and Megan were back at it, and they have lots to share with you good people about the Barcelona, Spain show. And if that wasn't awesome enough, I am so happy to hear that she had talked with, if you remember back to the Madison Square Garden show from earlier this year, Arusha had talked to a whole bunch of really cool people in New York, and one of which was a guy named Darren, who had seen The Cure since 1979, from the fucking start of it. And I'm so happy that she shared a conversation she had. Her and Mike went and talked with Darren while in Europe there, and have many great Cure tales to tell, and I'm so thankful to Arusha and Mike and Darren for all sharing their stories here, and a little snippet for the Holy Hour here, and she shared that. So we got a little bit of a conversation with Darren on top of a Barcelona review. So much cool stuff, and I'm just gonna zip it here at the top, and let's dive in with the Barcelona show and go from there. So get your ears warmed up, my friends. Here we go.
Okay. First of all, Barcelona is beautiful. And I almost got hit by a car. And I was really excited for the show. Bilbao had been great, you know? So I think I had a floor seat and Megan hadn't seated, but we couldn't get to the venue early, and we were kind of tired and had to do this and that. So it wasn't a day to queue up early. But we also, for whatever reason, this tour, we've overbought tickets. And we also last minute graciously got a guest list ticket. So anyway, had to go pick those up, and that was stressful because the will call tickets didn't open until 6:30. And the way that the organization was in Barcelona, the way that the venue organized getting into the place, it just wasn't very good. And it was sort of draining. And there were some fans there that were being rude to other fans, quite frankly. I don't know that I'd ever seen anything like it. And I don't know, it was just sort of bizarre. I mean, I started to really get the feeling that I'm going the way of the dinosaur, because absolutely, of course, if you're first in line, you know, and you're sitting there for 8 hours, you should be at the front of the row, right? But it's a fucking show, dude. It is not a classical concert. It is a rock concert. So when the stadium starts to fill up, and there's little tiny gaps, or even when the gates open, people run, and that's part of the fun of it. That's part of the lottery. Sure, you wait forever in line, and you should be in front, but you should, you know, get your running shoes on and run for it. Some of the fans who were waiting there said that some of the locals were giving them a hard time. It's like, give me a break. I mean, it's not ideal, you know? A lot of us shorter people have to deal with tall people standing in front of us, and shit happens. It's a fucking show. I don't know. Again, Arusha Baker, the dinosaur, rock and roll, punk rock cougar. There you go. But I did get up pretty close to the front. I survived the attitude of the people that were mad that I wasn't there. from the beginning. I can't tell you what they opened with. I don't even remember, but I do remember pictures of you. And for whatever reason, in that moment in Barcelona, perhaps because I was literally alone, like I didn't see any of the regular Cure fans around me, and perhaps because it had been a long day, and it's been a long 30 years of seeing the Cure, pictures of you really affected me. It affected me to the point where I almost like really started crying hysterically, but I didn't. I was just so, it just sounded so good, and I closed my eyes, and I could go back, you know, and think about things in my life when I was younger, and it's not nostalgic like, oh, I wish I was younger. It's just the song remains the same through everything, right? I mean, and I don't know, it just got, it sounded really beautiful, and it moved me. So that happened, and then some of the jerks in the front row softened up, and one of them actually asked me if I was all right, and I said yes, I was. I've entered the really weird, sterile Airbnb that we're staying at. It sucks. Budget. You know, what can you do? We're on a budget. But yeah, this time it's really put a damper on things, and I can't tell if, I guess I'm a little disheartened too, because I feel like this time visiting Europe, like, in the context of seeing the Cure, I'm also reminded of when I did it 16 years ago. I have seen them. I went to Berlin once in 2008, and I went to London, but they were one-off, so it was a different experience than going to see like a part of a proper tour. And I don't know. The concerts are still the same, but the magic of being here somehow has changed. And I've never wanted to buy into the thing that, you know, that charge of excitement is a product of age. I think it can be, but I don't think it always is. I should interview a chemist, an alchemist, because I was thinking about that earlier, of how all of this is about chemistry. It's not one single element. The primary element is the music. I have to say the crowd in Barcelona was great. You know, aside from them being snobby to fans, they were very excited about the music, and I think the band saw that and appreciated it, and they sang wonderfully to the songs and cheered, and with Push, they screamed Push and Boys Don't Cry, and a night like this they were going bananas. I mean, it was great. For Forest, they did the clapping. There was a great crowd, but I did think Bilbao was better overall. Please mind the gaps. All right, well, I'm recording. This is the Arusha and Megan reporting for the Holy Hour podcast. We are currently in Horley, UK, but we owe Barcelona. We've already seen the Wembley show and the Manchester, but we really owe a Barcelona show. So Megan, you want to say anything?
Well, for Barcelona, I was in seats kind of to the side of the stage a little bit. You were on the floor, right?
Right.
But, I mean, one nice thing about the Spain shows, both of them, is that the crowd was really into it. Because I was up a little bit high on Barcelona, I could really see the crowd a lot.
You were high?
That's right. No, I was just up higher, so I could see the crowd.
Higher, okay.
Yeah, I could see the crowd. It was really good. People were really into it. Actually, the guy who was next to me was singing so loud I couldn't hear Robert.
Oh, that's great.
So we walked from our hotel/hostel
Oh, that's right.
up this staircase, this old staircase.
Like through a park.
Yeah, through a park, stone staircase to the Olympic Village from the 1992 Barcelona Summer Olympics. Oh, that was cool. There's a big Olympic stadium there, and then there's an indoors arena.
Right. It was massive.
Yeah, it was massive. It was really big.
And it wasn't the way that you went in wasn't very organized. Like the filtering system of getting people in wasn't very organized. It was
Right.
slightly annoying. What? Can you go through the set list?
So it was tape open. Oh yeah, Kyoto song. A night like this. The Walk. Push. In Between Days. Sinking. Pictures of You. The Blood. Three Imaginary Boys. Primary. Charlotte Sometimes. Love Song. Just Like Heaven. From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea. 100 Years and End was the first set. And then they did It Can Never Be the Same. Burn. Play for Today. A Forest. And then Shake Dog Shake, Fascination Street, Never Enough, and Wrong Number. And then third encore was Love Cats, Lullaby, Hot Hot Hot, Friday I'm in Love, Boys Don't Cry, Close to Me, and Why Can't I Be You?
I mean, you just listed off like a triple album. That's
Right,
like,
yeah,
like
right,
hearing that in these headphones right now,
Yeah.
it's like that's what Cure fans are accustomed to, which we're spoiled.
Right.
We
totally
really
spoiled.
are. We're totally spoiled.
Unless you live in Manchester, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah. But what was I gonna say? What were the first songs up to? Pictures of You?
Tape Open, Kyoto Song was the second song. A Night Like This, The Walk, Push, In Between Days, Sinking, and then Pictures of You.
Oh, so it was quite a ways.
Yeah, it was like a third of the way in through the first set.
Yeah, but it was, a night like this I thought was particularly enjoyable in Barcelona because of the crowd, the way that they sing. I mean, honestly, just the language barrier and like,
yeah,
many people around me knew the lyrics and sang along, and I don't know, just hearing the effect of like being in a Spanish country with an English band, that's one thing that's great about.
Yeah, everybody was singing with an accent.
Yeah, it's just always nice to.
Well, Push, I wish, after it happened, I wish I had filmed it because it's like on the floor, like everybody's hands were in the air for go, go, go.
Right.
It was like everybody. It was just like a sea of arms in the air.
Yeah.
It was good. I do remember thinking that The Blood sounded better in Bilbao than Barcelona.
So what I was saying about The Blood is I was excited, of course, to see it, but I don't think, I don't know, it just doesn't have this sort of sprite and spark that it had in the recording.
Well, yeah, somebody said because he's only playing like a 6-string, it's not a 12-string. Yeah, the guitar thing isn't as like, which is the best thing. Yeah, right.
I mean, it's still good. But,
yeah.
And it's a fun song, but it's interesting because a lot of their music now is, like Wrong Number is better live.
Yeah, right.
Much better live.
Yes. Yeah, it's good live.
It's Megan's song. So my Barcelona, I think by the time that Pictures of You came on, I was enjoying the crowd, and then I just felt sort of bummed that I was there by myself and not able to just be a part of the crowd, strangers or not, because that's one thing I really like about shows is like if you go to a good show, a proper show, like as far as the audience goes, you should feel welcome. wherever you are, because you should be, especially in the front, you should be amongst people who are all just having a good time.
Right, and there for a shared experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But Barcelona was a very good show, and the other thing is that's fun to say is, I mean, so, clearly the set list was great. What they played? They played Sinking. They didn't play that the night before, right?
Right. Yeah, because remember that Jose really wanted to hear Sinking in Bilbao, and he didn't get it.
Well, that's okay. So you're getting ahead of me, Megan.
Sorry.
Jesus. Not building any suspense. So, we go see the show, and we go home. We got up the next day and do touristy things. We went to the Gaudi church and whatnot, and found this great little cafe called Reckons, right?
Yeah.
They have great coffee and little bites to eat, and it's quite charming. And they also had like a record bin. And not only were they selling, they had like Cure and Depeche Mode and The Fall and the Buzzcocks or whatever.
Talk. I like Talk.
LPs and 12 inches. But the guy said, "Oh yeah, I'll play you anything you want."
Right.
So it was like a Sunday afternoon in Barcelona.
And we listened to a couple albums in their entirety while we sat there and drank coffee.
Yeah. As if we didn't have a care in the world.
That's right. So maybe we should move to Spain.
Well, as soon as I'm out of debt, maybe. Back to reality will be a different story. But anyway, so then we get on the plane. We check out of our Zoo Loco hotel.
Uh-huh.
It was like one notch above a youth hostel. It was very funny. And it's raining. We go to Gatwick and get on the plane. And about halfway through the trip, I noticed the guy next to me is watching a video. And
on his phone
with his headphones on, and it looks kind of familiar.
With some flashing lights.
Yeah, some Spider-Man, and lo and behold, the guy next to me on the plane at 9:00 at night the next day had seen the Cure concert the night before, and he was there with his wife, and they weren't like crazy Cure fans.
Right.
So Megan, who was just in the other aisle, got up, and we all had a chat about the show. And where were they from again?
From just outside of Manchester, really. I can't remember the name of the
Cheshire.
Oh, Cheshire. Okay.
And he said he thought he was debating going to Manchester.
Oh, right.
But he didn't want to ruin his Barcelona experience.
And we urged him to go to Manchester, which I'm sure you've already heard about. But
yeah. For the sake of our continuity, we'll pause it there.
Yeah.
But it was kind of one of those happy surprises that you find when you travel and follow the Cure. You'll just meet people and talk to strangers, and it's not always like obsessive, crazy Cure fans like us.
Right.
It's,
although his wife said, she wasn't really a Cure fan, but she is now after seeing the show. So that's good. That's what happens.
Well, yeah, but that's precisely it. Is that she's just she's a dance teacher in Cheshire. Right. He says he likes all kinds of music. He went to the show because his friend is more into the band, and he said he was blown away at how great they sound, and he just would never expect them to sound so good 30 years later. Yeah. That was his driving point. Is that he said I saw them 20, 30 years ago, and I never ever would have expected them to sound as good as they do.
Right.
So that was a nice sort of nightcap. And then we got to our semi-shitty hotel in Manchester.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Arusha and Megan. As always, so great to imagine what that would have been like to see the Cure in Barcelona. Had to have been a great experience. So thanks so much for sharing that with us. Manchester was coming up right after that. And if you're following along on other sites, by the time this is posted, it'll all be out there. Some wacky shit went down in Manchester, so I don't know if we're going to get official scoop on that or not. But we'll just have to stay tuned and find out. And as well as the 3 nights in Wembley Arena that rounded out the entire 2016 tour. Can you believe it? It's all wrapping up, man. Sheesh. So yeah, thanks so much to Arusha, and it doesn't stop. As promised, now we have a little snippet of her conversation. Her and Mike went and talked with Darren, longtime Cure fan, and we're going to share a little bit of, from what I can only imagine is just a little glimpse of what kind of magic she's recording for her documentary Push, a Cure fan documentary. You can find out more scoop on that at curefandocumentary.com. But she was kind enough to share this little snippet of an interview with Darren. And thanks to all parties involved. All right, here's Arusha, Mike, and Darren talking Cure on the Holy Hour.
You saw on that leg, like
Yeah.
did you see Robert perform with the Banshees, or was it right?
No, I can't remember.
Okay.
I really can't remember.
Why? Because you were hammered?
Possibly.
Yeah.
But the first gig that I really remember was 80, Birmingham University, which was probably 17 seconds tour.
At Birmingham University.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I got pictures. I took pictures. So I've got.
Of that concert?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great to see.
Yeah, I've got pictures.
Yeah,
of it.
that's awesome. Okay, so 1980, because they toured extensively in 79, 80, and 81.
Yeah.
So
So
you
I saw them.
79
I
and 80.
sort of only really seen them. I saw them like once on every tour or twice on every tour.
Mm.
So you'll meet John tonight. John Sanders, who's a really good friend I've got to know well over the years. He lives in Worcester, and he used to follow them round during that time. So he'd go to Bradford or Manchester, or he'd on the pornography tour. He'd follow them round everywhere.
Sure.
So you can have a chat with him tonight, because
Sure.
but we've realised we were at loads of gigs at the same time, but we just didn't know each other.
Oh, it's interesting.
So I've sort of seen them on every tour since then.
Do you remember the 80 show? Like, were you?
Yeah, really well. Yeah.
Okay, where did you stand during that show?
Right at the front.
Oh, you were in the front.
Well, there was only about 150 people there. It wasn't very many people there.
And it was at Birmingham.
Birmingham University, yeah.
Were there girls there?
Yeah. My best friend Fiona, who came with me on Tuesday to see Manchester. She was there.
Well, you know, in Lowell's book, he says that what was it? He remembers when the girls started showing up.
Yeah, that was after 80 though.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was pretty much. I think I said to you in New York. I mean, if the pornography tour. I mean, they were just shitty little theatres, and everybody was wearing black, and everybody was sort of teenage angst blokes, basically, lots of blokes in black, sort of.
But it's cool though. I mean, I wish you remembered the 79 tour, only because you got a Three Imaginary Boys set.
Yeah.
You didn't have any 17 seconds yet.
No.
But you saw it. You just you
Yeah.
don't recall it. So you've seen every basically album tour. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, pretty much.
To say you.
Talk to John about the 79 one, because he would have been at Malvern, because that was.
Now, did you buy the album 17 Seconds when it came out?
I bought them all when they came out. So,
Okay.
So I bought Killing an Arab when it came out.
Oh, you did. Okay.
And then.
That was the end of 78.
78, yeah. I've got the acetate for it, which I can show you.
What is the acetate?
So when they make when you make a record, they press it in acetate. They do 4 or 5 copies just to check whether it's okay before they then go on and make a pressing of the actual in vinyl.
Okay.
So for each vinyl record, it's not my car, is it? So they make a. So in the studio, quite often they'll do it actually. When they've done a recording, they'll just do a pressing just to check that it's recorded and that when they press the vinyl that it's going to work. And I think there are only 5 acetates of Killing an Arab.
Oh wow.
On PRT anyway, on the PRT pressing. Robert's got 1. I've got 1.
Really? How'd you get it?
I bought it on eBay.
Okay, someone was selling it on eBay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got it on eBay a few years ago.
That must have been a few hundred.
It was a bit more than that.
It's amazing. I mean, gosh. Because I remember the story between that was when Chris Perry signed them, and he wanted to rush out the single before Christmas time. So I think it just came out like December '78.
Oh, okay.
The Killing an Arab.
On Small Wonder.
Yeah, on Small. Yeah, the reason why it wasn't on Fiction is because Small Wonder had better distribution,
That's right.
so they can get it out.
That's right.
So,
I went to the Small Wonder exhibition. There was a Small Wonder exhibition about 2 months ago.
oh, really?
They reopened the shop for 2 weeks. Didn't sell anything. They just had their posters on the wall.
Okay.
I was a little bit disappointed by it, to be honest. I took my acetate to show them.
It's just amazing how, like, to have bought the first single, you started at the beginning. That was the first single that came out.
Yeah. And then I just sort of, and then I started, because I used to buy the music press every week. So Sounds, Melody Maker, NME, Record Mirror, those were the 4. And for some reason, in 1980, I started cutting, making a cuttings collection off Cure. Don't know why, but I did.
Yeah. Felt compelled to.
So I've just got loads of cuttings from that period. Well, I've got loads of, you'll see in a minute, I've got loads of cuttings.
Was there a song in that era that you really liked the most? Do you recall?
Well, The Forest was the one that, and Play for Today were the 2. I just remember sitting in my friend's garage listening to The Forest for hours and hours and hours and hours.
What, over and over?
Yeah.
Why do you get anxious?
Well, because first of all, I don't see very well, so it's like I like to be close. But there's always me and at least 40 other people want to get to the front, so it's like it's competitive. It's not easy.
I'm not bothered.
Were you ever bothered though?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, when I was
Younger?
18, 19.
But you keep going back to this age thing, and I think it's part of youth, but part of also just at the point of time of when you discover a band in your trajectory. Like if The Cure has been in your life for a very long time, it may also be that when you're 18 you have more sprite, but in the beginning.
Yeah, but he has a perspective of seeing them in 1981, where they were 10 feet from him on a stage that wasn't even raised up. Probably. I mean that when that's in your head, going to the SSE Wembley doesn't. It's just whatever. Yeah. It can't be.
Well, no, it's not whatever. I am excited.
Oh, okay.
I'm excited to see the guys that. I'm excited to see John and JC and Autumn and all those people that I'll see tonight. I'm also quite excited by hearing the songs because the songs are so they're so well delivered these days. I mean,
they are.
They're so well played. They're so well sung on the whole.
I agree.
And I love that, but I don't really need to be right at the front with 10 other people crushing me.
That's true.
When we were at Hammersmith Odeon, back in 2 years ago, we were as far away from the stage as that tree is from me now.
Wow.
But we weren't in the first 5 or 6 people. We were just standing behind where everybody was crushed. And we'd go out and get a beer, and we'd come back, push through, and come back, and it was fine. I mean, you don't tend to find at Reading, where it's mainly young kids go. There was quite a crush at the front.
Sure.
And if you're standing right at the front, it's okay. But if you're just 3 rows back, you're being pushed sideways.
You're getting pushed around.
I just don't particularly want to do that anymore.
Sure.
So how long have you known these guys, these friends of yours that you're talking about?
Well, John I've known since sort of early 2000s when we got together. He was selling some stuff, and I got to know him through the Cure Records website. Do you know the Cure Records website?
No. Does it still exist?
Oh yeah. It's run by a guy called Ignacy in Barcelona, and it's basically a catalogue of every official Cure record that's ever come out.
Okay.
Right.
And we all contribute to it. So if you find an item that no one's ever seen before, you scan it and send it to him, and he puts it up, and we have a discussion about it. I mean, that's we've been talking about memorabilia here. The thing that I do a lot of, or do less so now, but now I've got most of them.
Right.
But is the record collecting. It's buying the acetates, the promos, all of those things, which are the thing that sort of come. These things I was doing 30 years ago. These are things that I cut out years ago. But the records have been more in the last 10 years. And I got to know John through that. And then I got to know everyone else through going to Sydney.
Sydney, when?
in 2011.
Oh, that damn Reflections tour.
Yeah. When we went to the Reflections gig, because they were only going to play once, and so I had to go. So I got a ticket and turned up. Met JC the night before, bizarrely.
Yeah.
We went for a beer. I'd never met him before, but it's because the Cure Records guy is from Barcelona, and Barcelona were playing in the European Cup final at Wembley that week. So I chatted with Iggy, got to know that JC was coming. JC and I had a drink. We only met on the Thursday, and then on the Friday, on the Saturday I flew out, and he flew out on the Sunday.
Well, isn't it? I mean,
we met all those people, you know.
What, Autumn too?
A lot of the guys that were there on Tuesday
The other night
were there as well, and there were lots of. So
I just think it's interesting because it seems like the 2011 was a reignition.
Yeah, maybe.
Something.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it was special. It wasn't
Really?
just
Is that
a
why?
concert. It was the first 3 albums. I went to that. There was no. If it was on the moon, I would have gone to that.
Okay. If it was where?
On the moon,
You would have gone.
I would have found a way to get to that concert. If they ever did the top Head on the Door and Kiss Me, I'd
You go to Mars?
Yeah, of course, I would as well.
All right, it's official. Even space travel won't keep Cure fans back. Hopefully it never comes to that, but it'd be a pretty cool show too. These guys would be there. Thank you so much, Mike and Arusha, for sharing your interview with Darren, my new hero here on the Holy Hour. I'm sure that at least similar stories, if not this actual conversation in full, will be a part of Push, a Cure fan documentary, Arusha's project. She's been working on her film. You can go over to curefandocumentary.com to catch up on all the updates on social media, so you can subscribe over there, Instagram, Facebook, the whole works, and donate some money to make sure that project happens. It looks so cool, and it's only getting cooler apparently. So thank you so much for sharing this little snippet of this wonderful conversation with a very cool guy, Darren. He should be hosting this podcast. What the fuck am I doing this for? That guy I could listen to talk to for years, hundreds of episodes. So maybe, I'm all for it. Any of you out there, everyone should be doing this. So thank you so much though for sharing that, and we'll see where the tour leads next. It's winding down, as I said, so up next we got a little Manchester review, maybe. I don't know, might just need to cover that in a few minutes, and we'll wrap this all up in Wembley. And hope you guys have enjoyed listening and keeping on the edge of your toes as the year winds down, the Cure's tour winds down. Who knows where we're going from here? But as far as Cure stuff, it's been a very a bright year for the Cure, and for a lot of people, probably the brightest thing that's happened all year. So thank you so much for everybody involved. Thank you so much to the Cure for being that bright spot in 2016. I'll just go ahead and say that now. That if it wasn't for the Cure, it would be a pretty dismal year, and for tons of reasons that we all have. So anyway, it's not the end of the year yet. This is not the end, and we'll talk to you real soon. Talk hard.